Okay, so today we're doing. You guys ready?
Sorry.
Okay. So today we're on to the next psalm, which is. Okay. Okay, so today it's we're going into Psalm 99, right? And okay. And we're also going to get into the next one, but maybe not. I also printed out some sheets of Reb Shlomo on about Shabbos. Okay, so you have a sheet there that's with you. There's an extra one there under the Sidurim. You have a sheet, Rachel? You just maybe why don't you read the first paragraph and then keep reading until they tell you to stop. Okay?
So Shabbos. Shabbos is back in paradise. Paradise is a place where everything is good, everything is holy, everything is beautiful. Paradise is a place where suddenly it's clear to me that I can fix all my mistakes. And even more so, everything I thought was a mistake, every street I thought was the wrong street was the only way to get there. Shabbos has two faces. There's keeping the Shabbos holy, the 39 laws of Shabbos, the withdrawing from the world, a non-power kind of light. But then there is the bliss of Shabbos, the inside of Shabbos, which is a gift from heaven. The bliss of Shabbos is even deeper than paradise. It's a secret between God and me, between me and the people I love so much. Shabbos is peace because peace is secrets of the deepest depths. Secrets are the deepest God revelation. A true Shabbos person is someone who walks the streets of the world, and every human being he sees, he shares a secret with. But with those he loves, it's the secret of all secrets. Shabbos is the strongest vitamin pill. On Shabbos, new energy is coming down from heaven, but the energy refuses to be received in dirty vessels. So 1 second before Shabbos, purity and holiness also descend into the world. Happy are those who fill their heart with it. Friday night is the fixing of jealousy. Jealousy comes from thinking that someone can take your place or your portion. And in the deepest depths, it's my own emptiness, my own incapability to retain what God has given me. But Friday night, when my heart becomes so full, so overflowing full, like the wine from the Kiddush, jealousy is wiped out from my heart, and hopefully, eventually, from the heart of mankind. Shabbos morning is the fixing of grabbing, because what God gives me, I don't have to steal, and I don't even have to take. It's given to me. A slave takes, a king receives. The third meal of Shabbos is the fixing of self-esteem, of honor, of giving up hope. The third meal is like the world to come, when the world will be filled with God's glory, with the glory of every human being, when the honor of a child is enough to fill the whole universe with the deepest of God's honor. Shabbos is the deepest healing in the world. Our holy rabbis teach us that a doctor can only heal a foot or a hand. He cannot give you a new one. But Shabbos, on a spiritual level, gives you back your hands and your feet. It gives you new brains, new eyes, new ears. What a gevurah, Shabbos. Friday night is a time of seeing, of discovering the unbelievable beauty and sweetness of the world of Torah, of people, and above all, those I love the most. Shabbos morning is a time of tasting. It's even deeper than seeing. Most people love each other, but tasting each other's soul, each other's depths, that is Shabbos morning. The third meal, and finally, Havdalah is smelling, inhaling the fragrance, the beauty which is beyond seeing and tasting, the kind of depth which only my soul can fathom. Happy are those who walk the streets of the world with the fragrance of Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos. Okay, there's a lot over here, and I just wanted to. We're not going to go into this so much because I just wanted to fill in a little bit of what we're doing in relation to Kabbalat Shabbos. Okay, and that's why we've been speaking about receiving Shabbos, right? And getting ready to receive it. Okay, so as we've said, the six Mizmorim, the six psalms that we recite before Lecha Dodi are corresponding to the 6 days of the week. And there was basically, we're fixing the week. And let's take a look at the fifth psalm, okay? So, I don't know, whatever siddur you have is Psalm 99. And again, the theme of all the nations being conscious of the presence of God coming into the world and reaching all the nations is very, very strong in this psalm as well. So I'll just read it, and then we'll pay some attention to some specific verses. Adonai Malachi V'zu Amim, when God will reveal His kingship, the nations will tremble. Yoshev Kruvim Tanut Haaretz, the earth will quake before the one who is enthroned upon the cherubim. Adonai b'Tzion Gadol v'Ramhu al kol ha'amim, God is great in Zion, exalted over all the nations. Yodu Shinucha Gadol v'Norah, they will recognize and give praise to your great name. Kadoshu, they will all recognize the holiness of God. V'oz melech mishpat ahev, ata kunanta misharim, mishpat v'staka v'Yaakov ata asita. And they will praise the power of the King who loves justice, and you've established uprightness, you've made the laws of justice and righteousness in Jacob. That's the second part of the psalm that I really want to pay attention to. So, Roimemu Hashem Elokeinu, Yishtachavu L'Adam Raglav, Kadoshu. Lift up, exalt Hashem our God, bow down to His footstool, for He is holy. So the idea of Romamu, right, is so as we've been saying in the last few lessons, like all week long, we're the ones who are doing things, we're the ones who are manipulating nature, we're manipulating business, we're doing all kinds of things, and Shabbos, you want to get into receiving, right? And there has to be, we have to rise in our consciousness to recognize the source of holiness, which is none other than Hashem. And then you probably know the tune that Shlomo sang to the following verses, which he's going to explain in a minute, but you know it, that's Moshe V'Aaron B'Choyanov U'Shmuel B'Korei Shemayim Koirim El Adonai V'Hu Yaneim B'Amud Onon Yidaber Aleihem Shamru Eidosav V'choik nosan lomoi Adonai Eloheinu Ato Anisam El Noisei Yisrael V'noi Keim Alali Lo Yisam. Okay, so all of a sudden, King David starts talking about the nations in general, right? And the people of Israel in general. And now he mentions Moshe and Aaron as being his Kohanim, and Shmuel amongst them as those who called upon his name. Korim el Hashem, they called to God, who name, and he answers them. Now, when somebody mentions Moshe, Aaron, and Shmuel, so we know, let's not pretend, right? We know that they're huge, they're great, they're holy, righteous people. But what we also have to know is that what they achieved, we can also achieve, maybe not to the same extent, but we can achieve it as well. And in this verse, you have the second part of the verse, Korim el Hashem. What made them great was that they called out to God. Okay? V'hu ya'anem, and he answered them. And he answered them with a pillar of cloud. They kept his testimonies, and he taught them his laws, right? Then the next verse after that says, Hashem Elokeinu ata anitam. Hashem our God, you answered them. Kel nosei hayita lehem. You were the most exalted God for them. V'nokem al alilotam. And you brought retribution for anything that they did wrong. Romamu Hashem Elokeinu, exalt Hashem our God, v'ishtachavu laha kadsho. So now King David is saying to everyone, it all the answer to everything lies in how is Hashem in your life. How exalted is Hashem in your life. So exalt God and bow to his holy mountain, because it is holy. What's being said here, we're in the book, you can open the book and consider.
Is it in English?
It's in Hebrew and we speak in English. Okay. I think I told you the story that this shaliach, this Chabad shaliach, Rabbi Moshe Feller, the one who put on tefillin with Sandy Koufax. She smiled. Do you know about that?
I just know Sandy.
You know Sandy Koufax, a baseball fan?
Yeah.
But he didn't play for the Red Sox.
No.
No. Yeah, I know. You must have been dancing a few years ago when the Red Sox finally won the World Series.
It's amazing.
Yeah, after how many years that they haven't?
Long time.
A long time, right? I have a friend in Colorado. He's from Boston. He's a Red Sox fan. He was, to him, was like it was the next thing to Mashiach coming. You know that the Red Sox won the World Series, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this Rabbi Moshe Feller is one of the first Chabad shluchim. And he told the story about, it's a sad story, and he told the story that he often gets invited, I think he's in Missouri somewhere, whatever city, he's the representative. And he told the story about, he gets invited to give talks in high schools, and let's say he goes into a grade 9 class, and he'll tell the kids, okay, let's do some word association. Right? Everybody's familiar with word association. You say one word, and you ask people what they think of. And he says the word Jew. And he starts going around the class and asks every kid, okay, say one word. And he gets answers like Hollywood, banking, Israel, whatever it is. And he says it's so sad to see how long it takes until somebody finally says God. Okay? Because the truth of the matter is that, like the Talmud explains, that the Jewish people are designated as being God's witnesses. In fact, keeping Shabbos is basically a testimony to Hashem being the creator of the world. The fact that we don't do work on Shabbos is like saying, it's not my world, it doesn't belong to me, there's a creator, God created the world, it's his world, and we're sort of taking our hands off everything on Shabbos and just recognizing that Hashem is the master, right? Okay, now when you think about it, you've seen, without mentioning other names, but you know that there is a group that calls themselves the witnesses, right? The truth is that the Jewish people are the witnesses to the existence of God. Okay, and one of the theses of anti-Semitism in the Talmud is that the world doesn't want to hear about God, so they say, kill the witness. Believe it or not. Okay? And the world knows that the Jewish people are special. We've spoken about this many times, and you see it showing up in so many different ways, and it's just so obvious. Open up any newspaper today, and you see that if an Israeli soldier did something to somebody, right, the whole world starts screaming about it and writing about it. And then they matter of factly report, today so many people were killed by ISIS, so many people were killed by the Syrians, like sort of like it's like almost like the weather report, But the question is, so why is it that? Well, let's put it this way. I don't know about you, but if I take an honest reckoning about myself, and I ask myself, how much time did I spend today, yesterday, actually being conscious that that we have a God, that Hashem is our God, and that I'm living in His world, and that I'm here to serve Him, right? We get so caught up in the mundane. We're worried about our emotions, we're worried about our friends, we're worried about our livelihood, we're worried about our health, we're worried about this and about that and about that and about that. And hopefully we spend a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes in the evening thinking about, oh yes, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, right? Actually to be conscious, right? Even in our education, those of you who went to Jewish school, how often did the teacher say, okay, let's close the books and actually just think about Hashem, right? When you learned how to pray, did you learn to be conscious that you're talking to God, or that was just said, now say the prayers, right? It's a real tragedy. It's a real tragedy that there isn't enough time and effort spent on learning to actually be conscious of Hashem. It's a real serious matter. Now, what this psalm is basically saying is that what made Moshe and Aaron great, what made Shmuel great, is that they were constantly aware, and this is the same true for Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. They were constantly aware that they're in the presence of Hashem. They were constantly aware that regardless of what they were doing at the moment, whether they were going shopping or whether they were cooking or whether they were speaking to someone, the awareness was, it's all in the presence of Hashem. Okay? Now, if you decide that you want to train yourself to do that, okay, be prepared to encounter the need to make big changes in your life. But happy ones, right? If it's not going to be b'simcha, it's not going to be the real thing, okay? So what David HaMelech is saying is that lift Hashem up, in other words, keep Hashem as your ideal, keep your relationship with Hashem as your ideal, speak with Hashem, call to Him, and you'll be in the same place that Moshe and Aaron and Shmuel were. Their greatness is not that they were born super talented, super gifted, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm sure they had great talents, I'm sure that they had great IQs, and I'm sure they had all those things. But, there's a medrash, which, by the way, I've been told by somebody who really knows a lot of medrash. She says he's never actually seen the original medrash, but it's always quoted in other books. There's a medrash that there was this king who had a collection of portraits of every king in the world during his time. And Moshe Rabbeinu, they came in. And Moshe Rabbeinu was also a king in Ethiopia for a number of years. When he escaped from Mitzrayim, the Medrash says that he was a king, I think it was in Ethiopia. In any case, so this particular king heard that there's this great king, Moshe. And he wanted to have a portrait of him. He wanted to see him, but he was too old to go and travel, so he sent one of his artists to go and paint a portrait of Moshe Rabbeinu. The artist comes back with the portrait, and the king knew the wisdom of reading faces. And he looks at this portrait, and he says to the artist, "You're a liar. This cannot possibly be Moshe, because I see in this face every possible bad human character trait is present in this face." The king. He could read. No, this king who had a collection of portraits of kings. So when the artist came back with the portrait of Moshe, the king said, "This can't be Moshe. It doesn't match anything I heard about him. This man has every negative character that you can imagine." So he went ahead and he killed the artist. And he sends another artist to do another painting. The second artist goes and finds Moshe Rabbeinu, and he sees that the rendition that the first artist had done was actually accurate. So now he's really scared, and what's he going to do if he's going to paint this? If he's going to paint the same painting, the king is going to kill him too. So he managed to approach Moshe, and he said to him, "Listen, I've got this dilemma. The first artist painted you, and he was executed, but I see that his painting was accurate." Moshe Rabbeinu says to him, "Yes, it was accurate, and it's true. I was born with every negative human characteristic that a person can have, but I managed to transform it." Okay. That's the medrash. And the Chassidus speaks about its kafia and its hapcha. It speaks about subjugation of the egotistical self, subjugation of the negative characteristics that we have. But beyond that is transforming them. Right? Every negative characteristic has a positive side to it, just like everything positive has a negative side to it. So the real avodah is to transform it. And when it says in the Torah, when Hashem says, "Vasuli migdash v'shechanti b'tocham," they shall make for me a sanctuary so that I can dwell in their midst. So the pshat level is that the Mishkan, the sanctuary, was in the center of the Jewish encampment, right? B'tocham, in their midst. And the Talmud goes on and says, don't read only. The Talmud says, why doesn't it say b'tocho? Could have said that I will dwell in it rather than in their midst. And the Talmud learns b'toch libam shel kol echad ve'echad, that God wanted that that every person should become a sanctuary to Hashem. Surprise. Okay? This is my lecture. In other words, the avodah, the work is for each individual to become a sanctuary. And there's a lot of teachings in the Kabbalah explaining how each one of the vessels of the Mishkan represents another part of your being. For example, now there's a couple of versions as to how this works. But take, for example, the menorah. Shira, which part of the body would you place the menorah in?
My heart.
Okay. Where would you place it? You're giving two. Okay, guys, it's okay. Yeah?
The eyes, so clear.
The eyes, okay. So basically, you'll find that according to one version, the menorah is the mind. Why did you say mind?
Because of the influence and emotions that represents both.
Because right, the menorah is light, right? And light is associated with wisdom, right? Shed some light on the subject. Okay? And some place it in the heart. And where would you place the Aron HaKodesh?
That I put by the heart.
That you would put by the heart. And where would you put the Holy Ark?
Probably in the mind.
This is my first taking me a break.
In the heart, for sure.
You would put it in the heart. Okay? So again, there are two opinions. One puts the Holy Ark in the mind, and one puts it in the heart. Okay? But in any case, I'm just trying to illustrate right now that the entire Mishkan has a parallel with the human body. Okay? Where would you put the altar?
Who knows?
Near the hand. That would by the good stomach.
Why not the stomach? It's what you eat from the sacrifices on the altar, right? So it would have to do with eating, right?
But before you eat, you need to sacrifice.
Yeah, okay, we're not going to argue about it. I'm just telling you that I'm just trying to illustrate over here the idea that each vessel of the Mishkan is, the work is to find what does it correspond to in my being, and can I sanctify that part of my being so that part of my being becomes a vessel for God's holiness. Okay. So what is the first and most important step in achieving this? You can pull that window open if you don't mind.
This one?
Yeah, just pull the handle, it opens up. The big one. Just pull. There we go. Good. That's fine. The question is, what is the critical step in order to achieve this kind of work? Well, we're talking about transforming yourself into transforming your being into being a vessel for God's light and for God's holiness.
I just have a question about that.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that Moshe Rabbeinu was born with these very negative traits. So saying like Hashem Just like Hashem creates us with like the physical, like our DNA. So Hashem creates us also with 7 meters. Because it's just like.
Okay, so.
I'm asking, just built in, like.
Yeah.
It's like just like someone could be tall, someone could be short, someone could.
The only thing the Talmud says, everything about you is preordained except for tzaddik or rasha. Whether you're going to make the decision to follow the path of righteousness or not.
So if somebody would say a simcha person, they're born with it, and their question is whether they work on saying simcha or vice versa. If they're born with it,
yeah, and if somebody's not, then every one of us has. Every one of us has our individual personal task. Every one of us has our individual personal task to achieve in this world. Okay, you have to be you. You have your job. I have my job. Yuri has her job. Okay, and the Karliner speaks about. He says that when we come up to Shemayim, when we come up to heaven, the question is not just going to be, did we do all the mitzvahs that we were supposed to do? The question is going to be, did you do the work that you were supposed to do? It's like that famous story with the Rebbe Zusha. Before he passed away, the students asked him, "Are you afraid of the encounter in heaven?" And he said, if Hashem asks Zusha, why weren't you like Avraham Avinu, Zusha is going to laugh. If Hashem says, Zusha, why weren't you like Moshe Rabbeinu, Zusha is going to laugh. Zusha is only afraid of one question. Zusha, why weren't you Zusha? Okay? So,
on that though, you said
so 1 second, let me just finish one thing. Okay, so how do you know how am I supposed to know what is my particular task? How are you supposed to know what is your particular task? So the Karliner says, things that come easy to you, that's not the particular task that you were given. It's the things that come with difficulty, that you really have to work at. That's what you came to the world to achieve. Yes.
So regarding Moshe, though, it seems like if anything, he was really ordained from the beginning, because from the moment he was born, I talked about this light that radiated. So it seems, like.
So you want to ask a question from one medrash against another medrash?
I wasn't born like purely good. I was born purely bad.
Yeah. So we're not worried about contradictions between midrashim. Okay? No, I told you before that this medrash that I just told you about, a friend of mine told me that he's never actually seen the original medrash. He's only seen it quoted in other svarim. Okay? And the medrash that you're talking about is Vatiftach v'tireu et hayeled. She opened up the casket and she saw him, the child. So the word et also means together with. So she saw Hashem was present together with the child. So that's why the Medrash says that she saw that the Shekhinah was there. But the whole thing about Batya going down and finding Moshe and the Medrash also says that she was going down to the water that day because she was going down to do a mikveh because she was converting to being Jewish.
How did she get away with that one?
What?
How did she get away with that one?
Between her and God. And this foreigner says, so why did she call him Moshe? So the Torah says, Kimin hamayim meshitihu, because they drew him out of the water. And so this foreigner says, well, grammatically, then she should have called him Musha, the one who was drawn out of the water. Whereas Moshe grammatically means one who's drawing somebody else out of the water or out of trouble. So this foreigner says that she had a prophecy at that moment Because the fact is, it wasn't only Yocheved. She was not the only one who tried to save her child by putting her child into yeah. She's not the only one. It's okay, Judy. She's not the only one who tried to save her child that way. So she had this prophecy that since this child was the one to merit being saved by her, she realized that he's being saved because apparently he's going to be the one that's going to be saving others. So when I first heard this from a friend of mine back in Montreal, Rabbi Yaakov Yurkovich, Alav Shalom, so he was a Holocaust survivor, and he said that when he learned that the teaching of this Sforno, it made him realize that if he was saved and survived the Holocaust, it must be that he's in this world to only to help others, you know. And sometimes people ask, like, what's driving Judy? And Judy was born during the Holocaust, and there was a Nazi doctor attending to her mother during the birth. And she's told her many times that the entire time she was just praying, God, don't let this guy hurt my baby, you know. And so Judy is also driven in that sense that if she made it, if she survived, and it was miraculous how it happened, it must be that she's here to help others, you know. And in general, you stepped out right at the right moment, Judy. And in general, a person needs to know that if they're going through something difficult, there may be many explanations as to how it came about. But one of the deepest things that you need to know about going through hardship is that it's Hashem preparing you to be able to help somebody else.
How do you explain when they just move? How do you explain when they just move? I'm just trying to understand.
Accept it and dance.
No, I'm trying to understand
I understand what you're saying. I didn't misunderstand you. It's everybody has something difficult. You look at people and it looks like, oh, this person's life is just so smooth. This person's life is just going along so smoothly, right? Until they show up in Meshach, right? And the truth is, everybody has had some kind of crisis and so on. And it's good to know, by the way, that in either Japanese or Chinese, the word for crisis is also the same word for opportunity. Okay? So going back to the question that I raised a few minutes ago, so what's the secret? What do you need to know to achieve this? To reach closer and closer to transformation. And this is what King David is saying over here, is that he's extolling, he's praising Moshe and Aaron, not because they were super talented, not because they were super spiritually inclined, not because they had a high neshama. What he's really praising them for is that they were constantly calling out to Hashem. Hashem, calling out to, right? And in fact, that's what Reb Nachman was trying to teach his Hasidim as well in the practice of Hitbodedut, to spend time having personal conversation on a regular basis. Okay? And talk about what? You know, like, what's the story that with the shoelaces? Reb Nachman told some of his Hasidim, you want to learn how to talk to God? You know, go look at my child. And the poor kid, his shoelace was torn, and he started crying. He says, God, I need a new shoelace. Right? Did you ever pray for a shoelace? Right? And that's what Reb Nachman was trying to teach his Hasidim. Whatever you need, call out to Hashem. whatever you need. Doesn't mean that Hashem isn't going to tell you, go to the store and buy one, but call out to Hashem. It doesn't mean that Hashem is going to come down and fix your shoelace, okay?
Why is it that Hashem wants us to go out? What, I mean, do you understand anything about why?
He doesn't want to be lonely, so to speak. He wants a relationship. He wants a relationship. Okay? That's what he wants.
See, but if
Yes.
I was going to, not if, when I would call out to God, and I'm not being in jokes here, I would not ask for a shoelace. I would not ask for anything mundane. I would ask for something which I would consider.
That's it, Baruch. That's the room.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Just turn it and open it. Light switches on the outside.
I would not ask, when I would call out to God. It would be, in my opinion, something important.
Yeah.
You're not wanting to go somewhere, and if you don't have shoelaces, you can't go and do this.
You know the story about this guy is looking for a parking spot in Manhattan. Did you ever look for a parking spot in Manhattan?
I never listened.
Yeah. It's you can drive around for a whole day and not find one. Okay? So this guy's looking for a parking spot and he says, God, if you help me get a parking spot in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give $20 to charity. And right then somebody pulls out and he gets a parking spot. He says, never mind, I managed on my own. Right? And that's the way, that's the human condition. And that's what Hashem wants us to change. Is Reimamu Hashem Elokeinu, right? Recognize, but Reimamu, lift up and extol Hashem God, right? But what does it mean that you're going to lift up God? It means lift yourself up towards Hashem, right? Make Hashem your highest ideal. Make that relationship the relationship that you want. Okay?
It could be that what I would think is trivial to another person, that would be something devoted.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, Michal, and think about it this way. If you were the CEO, the president of some big organization, some big company, right? And somebody in the worker in the community would come knocking on your door and say, do you have a shoelace? I need a shoelace. You'd say, what are you bothering me with a shoelace? Right? And what if your child asked you for a shoelace?
But the child asked me,
Saying, what if your child would ask you for a shoelace? You would drop everything and give them, right?
What's the difference?
What?
Is there any record that Hashem pulled out Hashem?
Yes, I mean he was a big tzaddik. He made like one huge mistake, but like Rav Nachman says that the reason that Hashem kicked him out of the Garden of Eden is because when Hashem said to him, because of what you did, you have to leave the garden, he accepted the verdict. Rav Nachman says if he would have sat down and cried and said, I don't want to leave, Hashem would have said, okay, stay. Okay. So,
Can I do that at the time of God wants me to come home, and I say that I don't want to leave, I want to stay here?
yeah.
Would it work?
Yeah, he won't kick you out, maybe.
Well, I guess I'll-
Why do you say this in Shabbos?
What?
Why do you have to say this in Shabbos?
Because Shabbos, you're going into this space of being with Hashem, and you want to. You've just spent 6 days in the mundane world, doing things, manipulating things, and easily beginning to think of, look at what I did, look at what I accomplished, look what I did, and so on. And you got to get into Shabbos and realize that it's really all about receiving. So these mizmorim are to help you switch consciousness into that space of receiving. Truth of the matter is that there's a story about the Rabbi Elimelech and the Rabbi Zusha, that they wanted to see if they're really experiencing Shabbos. So what did they do? On a Wednesday, they decided that they were going to do everything like they do on Shabbos. And guess what? They experienced Shabbos. So now they got really worried. If they were able to experience Shabbos on Wednesday, maybe what they're experiencing on Shabbos is not really Shabbos. So when they came to the Maggid, and they said, like, what does that mean? And he told them that when two holy souls get together and they really want to bring down Shabbos, they could bring it down during the week too. That's why Rav Shlomo used to say Good Shabbos on Wednesday, used to say Good Shabbos on Monday, used to say Good Shabbos the whole week. Right? And that, in fact, in Hebrew, we don't have names for the days of the week. Today is Yom Sheni b'Shabbat. Right? The idea is that Shabbos is the focal point. Right? So the just to put it back together, the point is that if we could only remember, at least make the effort to remember to think about Hashem, to call out to Hashem when you open up a sefer to learn some Torah, or when you open up a siddur to daven, or when you're by yourself and you want to do, or whatever you're doing, to say, Hashem, I'm going to be doing this now, but I want to be with you. I'm going to be learning some Torah now, but I want to remember that it's your Torah. I'm going to be saying these prayers. I want to remember that I'm in your presence. Okay? So that's the idea that David HaMelech is emphasizing. And it's interesting that in the Nusach of davening on Friday night, it's, I don't know if anybody else used to do it, but Shlomo was the one who introduced starting off with Moshe Rabbeinu b'chayana. Right? He started singing that the Chazan usually chants the last two verses. But Shlomo started specifically with Moshe Rabbeinu b'chayana. And if you daven in a shul where they sing Kabbalat Shabbos for Shlomo's Nusach, watch what happens when the Chazan starts Moshe Rabbeinu b'chayana. It's one of the most intense verses in the entire Kabbalat Shabbat.
What are we supposed to see?
Look at the people's faces. You'll see something very transformative. You can see that people are going into another space. Because it's not just about Moshe and Aaron, like I said before, it's about us. Right? It's connecting with these tzaddikim who are constantly calling out to God. And you can't help but call out to Hashem yourself. Okay. So let's take a look at what Rav Shlomo has to say about this. Okay, it's on page 103 in this book. So he tells a little story here. We have a few minutes, we'll be able to finish it, and it'll be something to think about. He says, Laila Achad at the bottom of the page. He says, Laila Achad, page 103. Laila echad amadati. One night I was standing beyond the kotel at the holy wall. Pagashti Yehudi Zaken shehigia miRussia. I met this elderly Jew who had come from Russia, who amari lai shehu shama mehasaba shelo. He told me that he heard from his grandfather, sheshama mehasaba shelo, sheshama mehasaba shelo b'shem Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. That he heard from his great-grandfather, who heard from his great-grandfather in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Shanachnu sharim את נוסח התפילה של ראש השנה ויום הכיפורים באותן מנגינות שהיו שרים בבית המקדש. He said that the cantillation, the music that we use on Rosh Hashanah is the only music that we have left from the Beit HaMikdash. And Shlomo actually, when he first starts telling the story, he tells the story about how when he was a child, he went up to his father, Olav Shalom, and he said, "Don't you remember any of the songs from the Beit HaMikdash?" And his father started to cry. And he said, "No, we don't remember any." And it was only years later that this happened, that he met this Jew who had come out of Russia, and he told him this tradition that he has in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, that the Nusach of Rosh Hashanah is the only thing we have left from the music of the Beis HaMikdash. And then he went on, Hibasu Hosiva Amar, and he added, and he said, "Ata yodea, gam hanusach shel Shabbat ktsat maskir lanu et hamanginot shel Beit HaMikdash." Also, the nusach of Shabbos remind us a little bit of the nusach of the Beit HaMikdash. Now, I told you the story already once that Dr. Rabbi Abraham Twersky once came up to Shlomo during the intermission during a concert. And he said to Shlomo, "Shlomo, you're a thief." And Shlomo says, "What do you mean? What did I steal?" And he says, "Your songs are not your songs." So he says, "Whose songs are they?" He says, "These are the songs that the Leviim sang in the Beis HaMikdash." You a Levi? No. These are the songs that the Leviim sang in the Beis HaMikdash. When you think about it, like, why is it that hundreds of shuls now sing? It's even hard to find a Jew who doesn't know at least one Shlomo song. They might not know Shlomo, they might not even know who made the song, but it's hard to find a Jew in Israel who doesn't know Yerushalayim or Am Yisrael, right? Why is it? Because Rabbi Twersky, Dr. Twersky was right. Shlomo said that he never composed a single song. He only received them. He lives in Israel. Call him up. His number is in the phone. His number is in the phone book. But it's a good question. Call him up, and then come back and tell us. Okay. In any case, so you can imagine if as a child he was already yearning to hear songs of the Beit HaMikdash. That's what he was yearning to hear all his life. And in fact, he's really explaining why this tune that he came up with for Moshe V'Aaron, it sounds very much like Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. You know what I mean? It's not like the regular nusach that you're familiar with. Okay. So just to sum up, the point is that we should be blessed to really remember to call out to Hashem. And Rav Nachman says in his teaching of Aryeh, you learned it, yeah? And it's not exactly clearly written like that, but that's the way I understand it. That if you sincerely call out, Aryeh Mikoim K'vaydoi, Hashem, where is your glory? In this situation that I find myself in now, it seems to be so difficult. It seems to be like, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't understand so many things about my life. And some of it is so painful. Hashem, where is your glory in this situation that I find myself in? So Rav Nachman says, the promise is that if you call out sincerely, the promise is Kvodo Malei Olam, that God will come and show you that He's present with you in your situation right now. For His glory fills all the world. So have a super glorious day, and we continue tomorrow, Mr. Hashem.
This card,
You can take it.
you said you were going to share a story. What was the story?
Yeah.